back to GTD or Game Time Decision. I'm Keegan Miller here with Micah Farmer. We'll get right into it with Week 2 baseball reactions and moving over to Martinsville coverage, and then some F1 at Suzuka coverage, and then capping it off with the final, or not final, but almost final March Madness coverage. Next week we'll just talk about the winner and what we thought about just the game in general and the Final Four. But we'll get right into MLB. Week 2 has happened. It's come and it's went. How are you feeling?
The Pirates are winning the World Series. They're 8-2. The April Pirates insanity runs cannot be stopped. As far as my team, the Reds, the bats are so ice cold right now. It's not even funny. Can't need a left-handed pitcher to save their lives. But as far as more just general league stories, the Yankees look to be working out really well so far. Braves have had some good come from behind wins, and then the Marlins finally picked up their first win today, which normally wouldn't be too important, but they beat the Cardinals, which means this is really important to talk about. The Cardinals lost to the 0-9 Marlins. The Cardinals are terrible. It's hilarious.
I will say, kind of the biggest thing I've taken out of week 2, and it's early. I don't expect this to be sustained or anything, but the NL Central is the best division in baseball right now. Every team has 5 wins. The only division where every team has 5 wins.
NL Central supremacy.
Right, in 3 games separates the whole division. I think that's the least. Yep, that's the least in baseball. I think it was 2.5 this morning, but the Cardinals lost to the Marlins. I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, 3 games separates the whole division. The Milwaukee and the Cubs are a game and a half or a game back. So I mean, just the divisions, like we said, it's gonna be super competitive. But we said for the reasons that they're all kind of just
mid.
No one stands out.
Yeah.
So I mean, we think it's gonna be the toughest division, not the best division of baseball, but the toughest division, just because I mean, I think from the Reds, Cubs, Brewers, and Pirates, anybody can win that. Now,
all those
Pirates
teams are similar. It's just, can the Pirates rotation hold on?
I don't think they can sustain this long. We see this. They do this every single year.
Yeah.
They have like the best team of baseball for a few months.
Was it 13-3 last year they started or something like that?
I don't remember, but I remember just everyone being like, "Oh my gosh, the Pirates!" And here we are again. Oh my gosh, the Pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they do have the same amount of wins as the Dodgers. Which I mean, yeah, the Dodgers lineup. You know the lineup like the back of your head. Just give all the dudes they have, and then go ask a normal baseball fan 1 through 9 the Pirates lineup. They can't give it to you.
Teams with 8 wins in the MLB right now: the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then another team that's having a really weird start to the year, at least unexpected, is the Houston Astros, who sit at 2-7 at the bottom of the AL West. Yes, the bottom, as in below the Oakland A's. Or the Sacramento A's, or whatever they're going to be. That's a disaster. If you're worse than the Oakland, Sacramento, Vegas Athletics of Oakland, you're not doing well.
Yeah. I've talked to some Red Sox fans. They're really, they're not. Red Sox fans have a tendency to do this. They're not positive at all.
No. Taylor O'Neill's been great, though.
Right, but every time you talk to them, they're like, "We haven't played anybody. Wait till we play the Orioles. Just wait. We're gonna start losing." But 7-3, not a bad start to the season.
Taylor O'Neill's leading the league in OPS right now. I feel like because of Mookie Betts' hot start, no one's talking about this. Tyler O'Neill is leading the MLB in OPS right now. It's absolutely insane. The dude is raking.
I mean, but also the AL Central, the Guardians are out front right now, which we didn't see coming. Your Tigers that take win Central in second, and then my Royals are in third. Both with 6 wins, that can go either way. Like I said, the AL Central is probably gonna be competitive just because they're all about the same. I mean, I think the White Sox are gonna be really bad this year.
Yeah, 1-8 right now, not great. Although the 1 win is versus the Braves.
So. Big news or sad news for the Braves, especially Braves fans. Spencer Strider out. We don't really know how long yet.
UCL strain though, not a full rupture, so that is good for them. But it's
heartbreaking.
It's been a year of injuries from the start of the year. So many pitchers injured.
Yeah, let's take a minute and talk about that because the media's going several different ways about all the pitchers on the IL right now, and a lot of people tend to think it's pitch clock or this or that. And so you have the camp that thinks it's a pitch clock and things MLB's doing, and you have the camp that thinks, I mean, these guys have thrown since they played travel ball, showcase ball. I mean, they've thrown in 2 years from ages 10 to 11 than Babe Ruth probably threw in his career. I mean, they just throw so much. They started at age 5 and they throw, and now they're 25, and it's you only got so many bullets in the gun.
It's just like NFL running backs. If you start them so young and you're doing this all the time, you're not going to be surprised when
not to mention they're training every day, heavy balls, bands. I mean, just so much stuff that helps them stay healthy because they are throwing so much more and so much harder, but stuff that also could go very wrong really quickly. Yeah. And it's just, it's a gamble like anything else. You can get injured.
Well, one thing I saw that was pretty interesting, if you look at the kind of release points of these pitchers that have struggled, especially with Spencer Strider. The extra torque they're getting from their back elbow being flat as opposed to more up, to where you're putting more torque on that elbow coming around.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. It's at least interesting, and I don't think it's the pitch clock. I mean, the injury trend was already there, as in injuries were steadily going up before the pitch clock.
Yeah.
I think that it's just they've happened at the same time. The figures have kind of hit this point as the pitch clock was implemented, so everyone thinks it's the pitch clock's fault. I don't think that's the case.
But also, I mean, going back for years, you've had like high intensity guys who the pitch clock didn't affect them at all. I mean, they were always just ready to go, ready to go, ready to go.
Yeah.
And some of those guys throw 100 miles an hour, and they don't.
Yeah.
It didn't I don't think you can blame it on the pitch clock. People are saying MLB needs to get rid of it. I think they will talk about it just because the fans are erupting, kind of. But I don't think anything moves forward. Seriously, I don't think the pitch clock goes away anytime soon or ever. But I mean, yeah, just sucks for Spencer Strider and some of the other guys that have already gone down this season.
Yeah.
But we'll just keep a lookout and see when he returns or what other pitchers go down with injuries. But yeah, so we know you like the Batflip of the week, so we're bringing it back.
Sunglasses are back.
Sunglasses are back. This is a staple in this kind of sort of deal. Today, it actually happened today. It happened a few hours ago.
Just barely got it in.
Mm-hmm. I was looking for I was like, I don't remember being a big bat flip, and as I was looking, I was like, oh, this one today, perfect. You may have already seen it. It's Giancarlo Stanton hitting a grand slam with the Yankees, Stanton off to honestly a Stanton start. He never really starts super hot.
I would say that if you're a Yankees fan, I'd be encouraged by Stanton's start. He's looked pretty decent so far. Honestly.
Yeah. So he hit a grand slam today, give the Yankees a 5-1 lead over the Blue Jays in the third. But I mean, it was a shot. I mean, everyone knew as soon as it went out.
Stantonian, some would say.
He waxed it, just 450 over the left field wall, and then just kind of walks with the bat, like just struts. I mean, chest poking out, staring at the ball, not just struts, and then boom, just gives the bat a little flip.
Yeah.
It goes over and over, and then he just rounds the bases, gives a little elbow five to all of his teammates at home plate.
They all tear their UCLs because of the pitch clock.
Yeah, he ran the base too quickly. Like he didn't have enough time in between elbow fives. He's like boom, boom, oh, and I'm out.
Yeah.
But
yes, the Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, but it was incredible. Good hit for him. Like I said, the Yankees look good. Soto looks good. Staying with that bomb today. And Aaron Judge is gonna find a stride and he's gonna start, just whacking more baseballs around the park. But yeah, I mean, just hot start for them, and they're gonna be tough to reckon with. I mean, hopefully they make a run in the playoffs. I mean, I think we kind of said it. We said about the Dodgers, but I think the Yankees aren't in the exact same boat. But I mean, what do the Yankees need to do for the season to be a win?
After you spend this much money, especially if this is a rental of Soto, it's hard to not say World Series or bust for the Yankees right now. I get that you can reload. You're the Yankees. You have basically infinite money. Right. But I just think with how much you've put into this team, with all the acquisitions you've made, if this isn't a World Series, I will say make the World Series I would be, if they fall short of making the World Series, I think Yankees fans deserve to be disappointed. I think if you lose in the World Series, you at least made it. So I really think that's the bar for whether season is a success for New York or not.
Nah, I'm with you 100%. American League champions is probably where they need to expect to be. And I think they do. I think they've all come together and said there's something special here, and we're holding ourselves to a higher standard. And we've kind of seen that just happen and take form so far. But while we're talking about the future and the playoffs and stuff, we gave you our division winners last week and our AL and NL champs. This week we're gonna give you our picks for Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and MVP of the American and National League. We'll start with Cy Young. The American League, I think there's 2, maybe 3 guys who stand out, but I think the one who just is on top, and I don't think it's going to be a shock to anybody, but, I mean, Corbin Burns, he's been incredible the last few years. Now he's in with the Orioles, who we've talked about, our fun team to watch.
Yeah.
He's 2 games in the year so far, so everything we say is just based off the 2 starts that each of these guys have had, or some guys even maybe 1 start. He's got a 2.3 ERA with a .86 WHIP, which is pretty good. Just one win, but I mean, we know wins are kind of fluid as a pitching stat. Like
Yeah,
people care about them, people don't care about them. So I'm not really gonna put a whole lot of stock into wins, especially after 2 games.
yeah.
But yeah, this whip looks really good. He's got 14 Ks through 11.2 innings pitched, which is outstanding. So Corbin Burns is my pick for AL Cy Young.
Yeah, I'm actually going with a guy on the opposite side of the U.S. in Luis Castillo. He did kind of get shelled in his first start. ERA is sitting at a 6.75, which is not great. The whip's at a 1.78, which is also not great. But I think this is a guy with ace stuff that we've seen over the last couple of years has kind of been on and off. I think this is the year he finally puts it all together for a full season. I picked the Mariners to win the AL West, and a big part of that was this rotation, and I was really between three guys: Castillo, Gilbert, and Corbin Burns. And for me, I ended up going with Castillo just 'cause I think he's going to be the best pitcher on this Mariners team. And I think if this is a Mariners team that wins the AL West, I mean, these team successes can play a big part in the awards sometimes. I think Castillo will be outstanding individually, but also I think the success of the Mariners this year is going to drive him towards that.
Oh, if he leads his team to a division title, especially in that division, or even beyond, it's definitely a, a stamp on his passport of like, hey, I'm should be contending for Cy Young and maybe get it. But it'll be interesting to look at. I do think Corbin Burns just has a little more edge, and I think he's going to get it done. But on to the National League, I have Zach Gallen. Speaking of rotations we think are going to carry the teams in the playoffs, I mean, the D-backs went out and got pitching. I mean, they made the best moves as far as the pitching staff goes in the offseason. And I think it's going to pay off for them in the long run. I think that rotation is probably going to be the reason that down the stretch they get into the playoffs in a wild card spot, however. But it doesn't matter once you're in. I mean, we saw it last year. Once you're in, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I got Zach Gallen in his 2 games. He has a .82 ERA and a 1.00 WHIP, which is pretty good, especially that ERA. I don't think it's going to stay like that, but if it does, I mean, there's no shot he doesn't win Cy Young. And I love watching Zach Gallen pitch, and I mean, you got to go to Gallen.
Well, you don't have to, and I'm going with a guy that I think might surprise a lot of people, and that is a Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Tyler Glasnow. Now, hear me out. I know this is a guy who has been made of paper for the last couple of years, and I know this is a year where everyone's getting injured, and the Dodgers pitching staff can notoriously never stay healthy. So everyone would expect Glasnow to go down after 2 games. But I think he makes it through a full year for once, and I do think that he's going to be outstanding. Right now, his ERA is sitting at a 3.18, but his whip is under 1. It is at 0.88, which is absolutely outstanding. Has pitched really well so far, struck out 15 batters, and I think this is a guy who's really going to lead this LA rotation this year, especially not having Shohei Ohtani available to pitch this year. I think Glasnow is going to be your main number one starter for this team, and I think he's going to be absolutely outstanding in that role. I originally was going to go with Spencer Strider, I'm not going to lie, but after the injury, I was like, well, who do I think is right there ready to pick that up? And it was, for me, between Gallen and Glasnow, so I'm going to back Glasnow for this one. Back the baby giraffe.
Yeah, I mean, nothing makes more sense than a Dodgers team and a healthy pitcher. So
Yes,
I like
I
where your
know.
head's at. I don't know. Glasnow, he has a tendency to get hurt, and I do think he stays a lot more healthy this year. Maybe misses 1 or 2 starts just from fatigue or whatever. But I think he's going to stay healthy this year. I just don't think his numbers are going to back up, Cy Young contender and Cy Young winner. I just don't see it. I think he's going to get hit around a little bit this year. Teams are going to play every time they play Dodgers. Teams are going to play up and get amped up and get excited, especially if he's game one of a series, which as a starter or as your ace, you tend to be sometimes. So we'll have to see, but I think teams are going to step up and try to do more just because it's the Dodgers. And they
Well,
have Freeman and Otani and Betts, and I
you
think they're
say
good.
that, but I think that actually helps Glasnow because the weakness of the back of the rotation for the Dodgers, I think is going to mean he's going to be in positions where he has to pick up those big wins. I think he's going to be able to step up to those spots and really perform in them.
We'll have to see. But we'll move on over to Rookie of the Year. We had a great Rookie of the Year class last year. Just fun to watch, and I think that's going to continue into this year, especially the National League. The National League Rookie of the Year race is going to be fun to watch. I think
Yeah.
American League is kind of going to be boring depending on what the Orioles decide to do with Jackson Holiday, and we'll get into that. But the National League Rookie of the Year race is going to be fun to watch. But for the American League, we'll start there. I have Jackson Holiday. I know he's not with the Orioles right now, and he's still in the minors. But the way he's hitting, I mean, they've got to pull him up soon, right?
Well, yes, but I think they're doing some finagling with service years over there in Baltimore. And that double A team or triple A team right now, I think could beat the White Sox, could beat the A's with how the Astros are playing.
Yeah.
Beat the Astros.
But I mean, so you say they're finagling for the service year, but we've seen teams
Yeah.
with Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, they held him to that service year. They held him until May, and then he came up and still won Rookie of the Year.
That's true.
So you never know, but I mean, I know these stats are AAA, but he's hitting 342 with a 1.095 OPS and 2 home runs already, 9 RBIs, 4 doubles. I think they're gonna have no choice but to call him up, especially if they start struggling. Just get a guy up here, get a guy up here, get a guy up here, see what kind of energy, whatever he can bring. So I got Jackson Holiday winning my AL MVP or Rookie of the Year.
I hope they call him up because I think he deserves to. I think he's an outstanding player. But my AL Rookie of the Year is going to, I think everyone can guess where this is going. It's Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. He's off to a bit of a slow start, hitting just 243 with an OPS at 617. But I think this is a guy who's going to figure it out. He's crushed every level of pitching he's ever faced from college to Double-A to Triple-A. He's hit all of it really well. Had a great spring this year.
He's one of the fastest players to ever
Yeah.
go through the minors.
For sure. And that's one of the fastest players, period. He's top 10 in sprint speed on StatCast. So I think this is a guy he really brings a lot to an offense and is really going to make an impact for Texas. I think they're starting to build toward that kind of Braves lineup philosophy you see where there's no easy out down the entire order, and you have a guy like this hitting in the 6 or the 7 hole. I really think he's going to get some good opportunities this year and really be able to do a good job in them. So for me, I think that Holiday stays down too long, and I think Langford gets it.
How close do you think Langford and Evan Carter are this year?
I think it's very close. I actually was talking about this with one of my friends from South Carolina the other day, and he is taking Evan Carter over Langford. I think that Langford is just a better hitter than Carter, and Carter's been ice cold to start the year. So I do think that Langford's a better player, and I think he's gonna show that this season.
All right.
I do think it's close though. I don't think he blows him out of the water by any means.
Okay. How close do you think it is with Jackson Holiday? Do you think it's Langford Carter Holiday or Langford Holiday Carter super tight?
This pick is hinging on the fact that I don't think Holiday gets called up soon enough to get it done.
That's fair.
That's why I'm making. I think if Holiday gets called up in just a couple weeks, I think he wins it. But I think the Orioles are going to keep him down in AAA for too long for him to be able to do it.
That's fair. Let me hear your NL.
Well, for the NL, I'm actually going with Young-Hoo Lee of the Giants. I think he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle a little bit here with guys like Shota Imanaga and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and some of these other big pitching imports from over there in Asia this year in the NL. And I think Young-Hoo Lee is definitely going to have a shot. He's been hitting great for the Giants, already has his first home run, and this is a guy who's really going to be an X factor for the Giants lineup, I think, who have brought in Matt Chapman, brought in Jorge Soler. That's a ton of power, but not a ton of average. I think this is your guy who consistently gets on base in front of those two guys and is going to be the best rookie hitter in the NL for sure. And I think he does just enough to get it done in front of, I would say, Imanaga and Yamamoto are right there at 2 and 3.
I mean, he's definitely going to have a good year, but I am going with one of those pitchers you mentioned, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. I did not want to pick who I'm picking. I didn't want to seem biased or anything, but I mean, his first 2 games, Shota
amazing.
Imanaga has just blown me away.
He's hitters away, too.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he throws 93, but he can put it wherever he wants. He lives up in the zone with a live fastball.
He has the accuracy of a pitching machine. It's ridiculous.
They called him the pitching philosopher over in Japan, and which is funny because the Cubs have Kyle Hendricks, who over here is known as the professor.
Uh-huh.
So we have the professor who pieces you apart, and then the philosopher.
It's the most intelligent rotation of all time.
And they're both like very, very, very like they don't. I mean, he gets excited and like I love it. He missed a call, or the umpire missed a call today, and he was like oh, he like got into it with the umpire a little bit. I love it, but I mean, just God, he's got a .40 WHIP. He's got 12 strikeouts in 10 innings.
Yeah.
He's 1-0. He hasn't allowed an earned run yet. I mean, he's been great. It's been fun to watch. He's 1-0. He should have had a win today, but in the fourth inning they went in a 3-hour rain delay, so obviously he didn't pitch after that. So he just didn't pitch long enough to get the win. But he shut the Dodgers lineup out today for all the innings he faced them.
He's been great.
I mean, he's just been so fun to watch. I mean, oh, he's been fun to watch, and I'm very excited to watch him. He's in our 4th spot, by the way, in our rotation. That'll shift its way around as this year goes on. But I didn't want to take him just because I didn't want to seem biased, but he's kind of just won me over.
I don't think that's biased at all. I think if with the slightly rough start Yamamoto has had, if I wouldn't have gone with Lee, I think Imanaga was right there at 2 for me. But you're right. He's been absolutely outstanding so far.
Yeah, but he's only allowed 4 hits in his 10 innings. But
you have to wonder though, as it moves on, is it going to be kind of what we saw from an Andrew Abbott last year when he got called up in the middle of the year for the Reds, where he was dominant his first probably 5 or 6 appearances.
It could be they don't have they don't have
Yeah.
enough information on him, not enough tablet stuff, and I mean he will be hit and he will get kind of his mouth beaten a little bit later in the year. But I think his stuff is just good enough to kind of overcome some of those situations. But he has been fun to watch. But we'll jump over to MVPs.
The big one.
The big one. We'll start with the American League again. What do you got?
Well, I thought long and hard about this one.
Me too. For both. And
there's so many good options here, but I don't know, man. I think you just have to give this to Andres Jimenez. I'm just kidding. It's Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto is going to go crazy for the Yankees this year. He's off to such a hot start already, and a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is a guy that's going to abuse the short porch all year. Juan Soto actually doesn't pull the ball in the air a ton compared to a lot of the other great power hitters in the game, but I think he will get home runs over that short porch, but I think he's just such an elite hitter and such an elite on-base guy. The short porch doesn't matter. Okay. He's just going to do work either way, and this is a guy who's at least a decent defender out there in the outfield, so I think that Soto is just going to be a perfect fit for New York, and you've seen it already. He's injected life into this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the AL. Obviously, Soto was the first one to pop in my head for MVP, and I do think he's gonna have a great year, MVP caliber year. And it was really hard not to take him, but I'm gonna give the edge slightly to Corey Seager. I mean, won World Series MVP last year. He's already off to a hot start this year. He's batting .344 right now with a .900 OPS, and I think he's gonna be consistently. He's gonna have what I like to call a Freddie Freeman year. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into Freddie Freeman when we get to the NL MVP because I do want to harp on this a little bit more with him. Just consistently, like he's not going to be the best hitter in baseball or just have this crazy run where it's home run, home run, home run. He's just going to do what he does great, and hit all year. And his defense is outstanding. As long as he can stay healthy, I don't know. I mean, it's hard not to go with him when he just so consistent. Because Soto, we've seen it with Soto. I mean, last year we saw a stretch where we were wondering if Juan Soto could be out of baseball in a few years. It was just bad to watch Juan Soto last year, and he figured it out, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's just so consistent, and because of that consistency, I'm giving the nod to Corey Seager.
Yeah, I know they were never on the same team. Obviously, they were kind of swapped for one another if you're a Braves fan, but think of Corey Seager as kind of like the Freddie Freeman to Adolis Garcia's Matt Olson, where you kind of have that one guy that's going to hit homers all the time, be that electric, big bomb type guy in Garcia, and then you have Seager right there, who's just like, I can also hit bombs, and I'm just going to be a super consistent front of the lineup every day. You know what you're getting from me. So I like that pick a lot. As far as the NL, I'm going to do something I rarely do and go for a repeat winner, and that is Ronald Acuna Jr. He's off to a little bit of a slow start this season, only hitting .242 right now, but
I feel like he's going to figure it out. Start. In a few seasons, he's been great.
He's been slow a few times off the blocks, and you saw it last year. He had a absolutely blazing hot summer and end of the year, went absolutely crazy, and I don't think he gets to 40-70 again.
I was about to ask that, but I don't think so either.
I think 30-60 is a possibility for sure. I think he's such a good base stealer, he gets to that, and then I think he slightly overplayed his power, honestly, last season, but he's such a good hitter for average. I think it goes under the radar, honestly, with how hard he hits the ball sometimes, and he's such an elite hitter for average, and I think he's going to be able to do that again this year. So I'm going Acuna again.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Freddie Freeman, and I was so close to taking Freddie Freeman for all the reasons I said. He's just his whole career just been super consistent. When he won it in 2019, 2019, right?
18.
18. When he won
Wait,
18, I
hold
mean,
on.
he just had that year
To
where
make
he
sure we're
was
not spreading
right.
misinformation
He
here.
was just super consistent. I think it was 19 because Harper won in 18.
Yeah.
Um, but he was just super consistent, and I think he's gonna have another year like that. But I think he comes up just short.
2020, actually.
Oh, he won in the shortened season.
Yes.
So 2020. But I think Bryce Harper wins another MVP. I mean, just barely though gets it over him. But I mean, Harper had a really slow. He didn't have a hit until what 5, 6 games into the season.
Yeah.
But when he
And
did
then you
get
got
a
a
hit,
three-homer game versus the Reds. It's not
say
fun.
when he did get a hit, he hit, man. I mean, he's got a .998 OPS, a 290 batting average. He's only got those 3 home runs, but those numbers are he's gonna have more than 3 home runs.
It was not a fun game to watch as a Reds fan. It was like, oh, Harper hit a homer. We're down. We've kind of clawed back. Oh, Harper hit a homer. Oh, we're kind of clawed. Oh, he hit a grand slam.
And for those reasons exactly, he's winning MVP. Just for that game. They're going to circle that game and be like, you know what? We don't like the Reds either. He's winning MVP for that game.
One thing that is kind of crazy, though, neither of us said Mookie Betts, who has been leading the MLB in basically everything for the first week and a bit. So, what do you think about that?
I
I want to see if you're thinking the same thing as me here.
Betts was my first kind of option when I started thinking about this. But, and obviously, if he continues his hitting and if he plays defense a little bit better than what he's playing now, he's going to win. Just from moving positions from right field to middle infield, he's played a little bit of second, but mostly shortstop. He's going to win. But his defense has just been bad this year.
Yeah.
It's not a shock to anybody. He's played right field. He's played outfield his whole life, and now he's moving to shortstop. So and they may still give it to him because I don't think MLB cares about defense at this point in time. They seem to only care about offense. But for me, as a complete baseball fan, I just can't give it to him with his defense.
Yeah, and then one guy I do want to shout out here. I know I'm not saying this guy's an MVP candidate, by the way. I don't think he is, but as a Reds fan, I have to give a shout out to Spencer Steer. He's hitting .406 on the year so far with a .500 on base. His OPS is third in baseball at 1313. He's tied for second in RBIs at 12. He's had an absolutely red hot start to the year, so this is the only guy in the Reds lineup that's been able to hit even semi-consistently. He's the only reason we've won games at all, honestly, and he's been just amazing. So, shout out Spencer Steer. You're not going to win NL MVP, but you're going to be absolutely beautiful for my happiness this season.
Yeah. Well, if he can stay consistent. But your Reds' happiness goes up and down like a roller coaster, so we'll see.
No, it just goes down.
It's like a roller coaster, it's the beginning of the year, and then
there's no ride back up. You
Yeah.
just go through the ground, underground, into the Earth's core, and flame out and die.
You're like that roller coaster at SeaWorld where it goes into the water, but this time it doesn't come out of the water.
It just crashes.
The water. Yeah.
As soon as Mount McLean went down, the roller coaster crashed.
Yeah, your up on the roller coaster was getting to play as Ellie De La Cruz and it would be the show, and then right before the season went.
Yeah, 13-game hit streak that also ended today as we lost a series to the Mets.
The pain. That's all we have for MLB. We'll give you all some more division updates and whatever else comes into play next week.